Hello, friends. Hopefully the volume is working. My name is Cheryl Albright. I am the owner of Soul to Soul Yoga, and Liz, Dedicated Creatives, has asked me to come on and talk about yoga as a therapy tool. I apologize for the delay. I know we were supposed to start at 3 o'clock. I'm going to do a quick disclaimer as my friends that are deaf back at home, and I'm sorry it's not closed captioned, and need to work on Facebook, fixing that. That would be great. So a little bit about my background and how this whole thing kind of got started. Yoga obviously has been around for thousands of years, but you know what they say, when you're ready, your teacher will appear. And so I was an occupational therapist working in upstate New York with kids with severe developmental disabilities, either behavior or medical. And my accountant said, go take a class. You need a tax write-off, go take something. And lo and behold, it was yoga for the special child, which completely took my career in a totally different location, helped me heal my physical body and some things I was going through, and was able to pass that on to children and now adults with special needs. So any questions that come across in the feed, please stop me. Just let me know what questions you may have. I've got about 20 minutes to talk total. So please send your questions in. So yoga as a therapy is a big kind of buzz that's going around. The International Association of Yoga Therapists was created, and it was created, I believe, back in the 80s. And it's using the aspects of yoga as therapy. And so what I ended up choosing was yoga for the special child. It really focuses on development and developmental milestones and how the body works, and how to break down all of those poses. There's the accessible yoga friends out there, and there's oh yay, somebody joined us. Hi Heidi. So there's a bunch of organizations out there, but the International Association of Yoga Therapists is kind of what oversees using yoga as a therapy. That certificate isn't as widely recognized in the United States as it is kind of elsewhere in the world. But there are many forms of yoga. I get the question, I get this all the time. I'm just going to kind of spit out what I hear out in the community. I'm in a very senior focused community, and a lot of them see the word yoga and they walk away. And so the last event I did, I actually hunted one woman down and said, why won't you talk to me? And her response was that she went to a yoga studio and the instructor said, just do what you can. And that was about 20% of the class. And so with that, imagine if you went to Starbucks and you got 25% of your drink and just said, don't worry about the rest. You'd be pretty ticked off. And this kind of got me thinking about, how to rephrase and maybe educate the world on what yoga actually is and how we can adapt it to some of our folks. So it was quite an interesting conversation. She was very heated, and I don't blame her. If I've gone to a yoga, or anything, it doesn't have to be a yoga class, it could be anywhere, and I only got 20% of the service I paid for, I think I would be pretty mad too. A couple other seniors, they think of young women, very thin, doing putting their feet behind their head and doing all these other kind of things, and that's not necessarily the case. And so, there are 8 different forms or 8 different limbs of a yoga practice that they talk about in the Yoga Sutras. And so it doesn't have to be all about the postures. And that's kind of where a lot of studios are at. It's just kind of not all of them, but there's a lot of them that it's just posture related. And there's so many other aspects with the breathing techniques and meditation and other ways to hone in when your body doesn't work for you. And so I have a lot of individuals that I see right now with cerebral palsy, and that is a condition that happens very young in development, if not in utero. It's usually a birthing injury, and it's a brain injury. And so they lose the ability to have control over how their body moves. And so clearly somebody who's postured like this is not going to be in downward facing dog. And everybody looks at me, well, like, how are you doing yoga with this individual? So we have to get out of the mindset that yoga is just physical, that, there are breathing exercises and other meditative techniques and guided relaxation and even just eye movements, isolating motor movements. I am an occupational therapist, and so it makes sense for us because you're just breaking down a motor movement. That's essentially what it is, if you're going to talk about the physical part. Just breaking it down to make it accessible for anyone, really. And in the senior community, it's kind of the same, where, they might have had an able body and now they're starting to lose some of that, whether it's arthritis or joint replacement. It could be anything, any condition in the aging population that would impact. I'm not big on the use of props, but if a chair is needed because it's not safe for somebody to come down to the floor, then we just grab 2 chairs and we bring the floor up to them so that it's a lot safer, because the need for that is so great. And eventually we can get rid of that chair. I had an individual with MS, and he was not comfortable getting down on the floor at first, and was just kind of like, no, I'm going to stay in this chair. I said, okay. And eventually, over a few sessions, he got more and more comfortable. We got him down on the floor. He was able to walk a little bit without his walker, which was really cool to watch. He made a sun salutation accessible to him. And it was a lot to do with the breath work. And I could talk for hours about, why this stuff, the neuroscience behind a lot of why this stuff works. Luckily, the University of Maryland actually has some yoga research going on in their integrative health department. So I highly suggest people go out and look. If you don't believe me, there's research out there. Stephanie Muniz is doing some great stuff with yoga and arthritis. And I'm getting it's getting up that doesn't work for me. Yeah, sure. That's the thing, and this makes me mad kind of in rehab, is they don't teach people how to get up and down off the floor anymore. And it's, well, what if you fall? You need to know how to get back up without having 2 firefighters come and do it for you. And so it's breaking it down and strengthening up those things. And some of it's a mindset too. I'm not going to take mindset out of the equation. And, once you get in pain and once you don't feel like doing those things anymore, you're going to tell yourself you can't do them too. It's not all of it. I mean, there are, arthritic changes that happen as we age, but that's not out of the question. I know that's a common report from a lot of people. So we can start in the chair. We can start with 2 chairs. We bring the floor up to you because the need is so great. Like, we need to be able to move, and the importance of moving and the importance of keeping the mind engaged. How many times have you heard during any talks for seniors where they say, keep doing the crossword puzzles, keep doing the word searches in the paper, and keep your mind stimulated. This is a way to keep your mind stimulated too. I mean, you've got all accesses of the brain. So I posted an article not that long ago on Soul to Soul Yoga's Facebook page about the different forms of exercise and which parts of the brain that it can really target. And that was one of them. We're going to control, access to this part of the brain, the frontal lobe, that helps make decisions. And so when you get caught in a feedback loop that says, I can't, then you can't. And I'm not discounting physical. I am a therapist through and through, and I am very analytical, and I do understand that there are physical limitations, especially when it comes to post joint replacements in the knees in particular, because you don't really want to weight bear on it when it's, this is now metal, and you don't want to put full weight when it's like that. And the same thing if there's any kind of impact with arthritic changes that make this not stable or make it just not, the arthritic, it can shift the alignment, and if you're not in proper alignment, and that can cause damage too. And so that kind of brings me into the blog post I did, which was ahimsa, which means do no harm. And I really thought about this woman who became so mad about not being able to access the full service that she had paid for. And, doctors go to school for a long time, and then there's specialists. You've got heart and lung and everybody else. But yogis just aren't doing that when they know that, just kind of stay in the back room and do what you can. Or, hey, I know this person that could help you and develop a practice for you, and then come back and, rejoin the community. Because that's really, my mission statement's out there. We want to give you the confidence to participate anywhere that you choose. And if it becomes physical, for a physical reading, physical reason, that's, we want to be able to just adapt it to you, and then you can get back to your community, which you want to be a part of. I know, and yoga therapy is probably going to make a huge leap, and then I would give it in the next 10 years. And, somebody just posted about pain, and I've heard the latest buzzwords around, people don't like the word yoga. They're afraid of the word. And I'll be quite honest, before I started on this whole journey, I thought that was for the hippie granolas over here, or we were going to talk to these really, super skinny women who can contort their bodies into different positions. And I personally didn't have any clue before I started this whole journey. So I get there's kind of this, well, what is it? Is it a religion? And I would like to debunk that. It's not a religion. There are some singing practices that go with it called chanting or mantras, and that's when people start to get kind of funny. But who doesn't want to sing for peace? I have all of the kids sing it, and we talk about what is peace. What does that mean? We're to be a good friend and keep our hands and feet to ourselves. And this kind of sounds like a preschool teacher, doesn't it? Like, why not do it? And singing makes people happy. So you don't want to sing a mantra? That's fine. Go sing a song that just makes you happy. Sing in the car, sing in the shower, just sing. And I just see if it makes you happy. See what it does. That's all part of it too. I'd like to thank you for the hearts. So, that part of it is accessible to a lot of people. So just go sing with your church or your synagogue or whatever practice is going to help you in any way. And that's, so we've got singing, and the breathing practices are pretty much accessible to all. We had our first documented case of pulmonary fibrosis. An individual that has pulmonary fibrosis actually increased their lung capacity. And so what does that mean? That means that over time, this disease causes your lungs to harden. So taking a breath, they're not allowed to expand. And this individual, by doing the breathing exercises, or what they called pranayama, was able to increase lung capacity, which is unheard of. Now, too bad this wasn't a formal study and probably will never be written into a research paper. But let's think about that for a minute. Somebody was able, I can't say reverse the disease process, but was able to improve lung function with a few simple exercises. So imagine what that could do for people with pulmonary fibrosis and other disease conditions, COPD, emphysema, anything that would cause the lungs to be compromised. And you don't have to have any equipment. So, somebody's asking me to sing. Sure, why not? I can sing a mantra. Singing is good, and it's funny because at first I was kind of like, what are these people doing? And I kind of got over it really quick because I realized how much my patients, and I don't like calling them patients in yoga, but the individuals that I work with were improving. And so some of it is part of the singing. I can do, let's see, I'm going to do Hadi Om. And the reason I'm going to do this is it's a 3-part breath work. So ha, coming from the diaphragm. If you say re and like hold right here, you'll feel it vibrate. And then om. So it stimulates the entire respiratory tract. Is it something religious? If you're Hindu, it's 3 syllables if you want to break it down. And I know people's spirituality are, and all ends of the spectrum. But that is the one that I like to use a lot when we have compromised or people that have difficulty breathing is really good because you have just even to get the ha sound. So our friends that might have Parkinson's disease, that have the inability to project their voice, are individuals on maybe the autism spectrum who don't have words but have sound can access this part of yoga. So it's kind of one of my favorites, and it's 3 sounds. So sure, they're asking me to sing. Why not? Hadi Om, Hadi Om, Hadi 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 Om. Hadi Om, Hadi Om, Hadi Hadi Om. Hadi Om, Hadi Om, Hadi 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 Om. And so it's usually a call and response. I would sing a verse, people would then respond. Not the world's greatest singer, but I can belt out some tunes when I need to. But it gets kids engaged, and all of my music therapy friends, I love you all. You are amazing at what you do. And, they've educated me on, their research and what it does to that part of the brain and how it can bypass parts of the brain so that people can access other places. So, for example, there's some videos going around on Facebook with seniors with Parkinson's disease, and they're having trouble walking, and they're usually with their therapist and their walker, and they're struggling, and then they turn on music, and they're able to move. They're able to move more smoothly. They're able to move with a better, what they call gait pattern. They're able to walk better. Why? Well, music bypasses the cerebral cortex, which is the part of the brain that's being impacted by this disease process. How simple was that? We put on some music and we can move. Right? So I really hope that I was able to debunk some of the things that kind of go along with the word yoga and know that different parts of the yoga practice can be accessible to anybody, and it can be therapeutic. That's why they have music therapy. They have movement therapy, your physiotherapists, your OTs, your PTs. Back to the singing and the breathing, speech therapists work on the airway all the time. when it comes to swallowing and being able to project your voice. Deep relaxation, the ability, or yoga nidra, the ability to hold the mind and the body still. And I will tell you that this is the hardest pose that anybody does all day. Everybody loves Shavasana. However, it's the hardest thing that most people will do all day because I'm asking you to turn it off. Don't think about your grocery list or when you have to pick up your kid and blah, blah, blah. What time is it? Oh my gosh, I gotta go. And then you're back to being disconnected again. So I always joke with the kids, you know, like, oh, gotta watch this, gotta watch this. This is the hardest pose you're gonna do all day. And they laugh and then they try it. So I challenge you, try that. It's a meditative form, but try it, see what happens. See how long you can do it without sleeping, just holding the body still. And so yoga was really created to prepare the body for meditation. So what is meditation? Sitting for a prolonged period of time in one spot, motionless, with a single focus. That's hard for some of our friends to do, especially our kids. So what are we asking kids to do right now? And I feel so bad for them. In the state of Florida, there's state testing that'll be happening soon, and their anxiety is just building. And especially a lot of the individuals I work with have some sort of special need or learning disability. Sorry, those my dogs. They're heightened. They're super stressed. And the other day I started with deep relaxation first. I said, we're going to do the class backwards because you need it. And so they were like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And so, you know, to try to just calm them down, like you're in a safe space now. We don't have to worry about the FCAT or whatever they're calling it now, FSA, I guess, the standardized testing. And how much stress is on these kids. I can't even imagine. So yeah, anyway, yeah, using it so that was just simple. I don't know what their diagnoses are necessarily at this after school program. It's not irrelevant. I'm teaching the kid, not the diagnosis. So how much stress is on all of these kids and why there's a big boom in the yoga community for yoga for kids and the standardized testing. And I'm kind of out of tune what other states are doing, but man, they want to perform well. And here, and I don't know how true it is coming from a kid, but I think they hold them back if they don't pass in the 3rd grade. Why would you tell them that? Why? So now I'm getting some secondary things going on. So there's a lot of stress and anxiety, and that's kind of how it works for them. I personally can adapt it to anyone. My last little nugget is that, you know, the breath is the key in the door, is what my teacher, Sonia Samar, always says. The breath is the key in the door. So if you can't control your breath, what happened? Think of the last time you got the wind knocked out of you, or if you have asthma and you've had an asthma attack, or you've had anything that bronchitis. You don't feel like moving. You don't feel like doing anything. So do you have a question, real question, when you are meditating, you choose to focus on the actual item or your eyes closed and imagine something to focus on? Either one. It depends on the style that some people like it guided, some people like some kind of CD and walking you through kind of the steps and that kind of thing, similar to like a yoga nidra, or some people look at a flame. Integral yoga, sometimes they use the center of their symbol. There's like a red dot, and then you can stare and stay focused at that. I personally like to have my eyes closed. If my eyes are open, I'll get visually distracted. I don't personally like to do it that way. Eyes closed, I kind of focus like I'm looking out, what they call the third eye, or in between my eyes. I let the thoughts come in because that's what's going to happen, especially in the beginning. Your brain can go, oh, you're going to shut up and listen to me now? Okay, I'm going to bombard you. Once you get past that, you just don't attach to any of them. You let them go, and then there's just a nice silence that happens. So, I mean, there's different forms. I'd say play with all of them, see whatever resonates to you. I don't really think there's a right and a wrong. People would probably argue that, but as long as you do it, it works. You just have to do it. I wouldn't get caught up on eyes closed, eyes open, single point focus. You can meditate to something. I was mantra initiated. I can use a mantra and mala beads if that's what I choose to do. And that is especially helpful when your mind needs something else to focus on, needs that you are going to do this right now, and that's it. That's when I like to, if I'm too busy and things are too chaotic, or I've had a really stressful week, that seems to calm me down and let me focus a little bit better. There's a million and one apps now for just saying Om repeatedly and not just it's just focusing on that one thing. So whether it's guided, I think even Oprah or somebody's doing like 21-day challenge. I don't know, but I know there's one out there. Light a candle, stare at the flame, see if that works for you. If you're religious or have some kind of spiritual practice, it could be something within your religion that you stare at, whether it's a cross or, Star of David or whatever the case is, for whatever religious practice you so choose. You can do it that way. So I hope that answers your question. The candle I like the candle. I like the candle on myself, but everybody's different. Everybody's bodies are different. Everybody's minds are different. So it's just finding what kind of works for you. Make sure I answered all of everybody's questions. So if you need to find me, hopefully you're local, Sarasota, Bradenton, I'll just put in a quick plug about where I am and what I do. So if you missed it, I'm the owner of Soul to Soul Yoga. I do work out of Children's Therapy Works, which is east of 75 off of Fruitville. And then otherwise I'm mobile. I'm kind of all over the place, kind of like a home health model. So I can bring yoga to you. I can bring yoga to a group. I'm hoping to have some more teachers and therapists soon. And so that we can spread this a little bit wider. I've been a one-man show until recently. So hopefully we'll get some more people on board. But I'm here with any questions. You can send me a message on Messenger, but I would, or if you go to my Facebook or my website, you can find a scheduling link. I'd be happy to sit down on the phone with you to give you some ideas if that's what you're looking for. But there's some stuff obviously if I don't need to do hands-on, I can do over Skype, or I prefer Zoom so that I can record it, but things like that. So I am here. I'm willing to help anybody that's willing to have an open mind and an open heart. So if there's not any more questions, I'm going to get off now. I would like to thank Liz and the Dedicated Creatives for letting me go live today. And hopefully people will catch this later. And I'm going to say sorry to my deaf community. I know there's no closed captions. We will work on that, I promise. I hope everybody has an amazing, amazing rest of their day.